Good day, distinguished delegates and listeners. Welcome to the first episode of the Asian Forum podcast, Fields of Struggle, Poverty, and Agricultural Food Security in Southeast Asia. Agriculture is the backbone of many Southeast Asian economies, yet, despite our rich soils, hardworking farmers, and strong agricultural heritage, poverty remains widespread in rural areas. Today, we will explore why these problems persist, why many farming families still struggle to secure enough food, and how ASEAN member states can work together to build sustainable, inclusive, and resilient agricultural systems. Farmers across region face a range of challenges, like limited access to modern tools, unstable crop prices, unpredictable weather, rural isolation, and low income. These challenges form a cycle that keeps families in poverty and threaten regional food security. But rather than talk just about these numbers, let's hear from someone who experiences these struggles every single day. Please watch this.
Magandang araw po. Ako po si Mang Ernesto, isang magsasaka mula sa Bukidnon. Ang pinakamahirap sa pagtatanim ay hindi sigurado ang kita. Kapag tag-ulan, nasisira ang aming mga pananim. Kapag tag-init, kulang sa patubig. Minsan, mababa ang presyo ng palay. Kaya kahit anong sipag namin, sakto lang sa pang-araw-araw. Ang pangarap lang namin ay magkaroon ng magandang irigasyon, mas magandang equipment, at mas stable na presyo ng palay.
Maraming salamat, Mang Ernesto. Your story is the reality of millions of farmers across Southeast Asia. Now, we are joined by the spokespersons from our ASEAN member states from Indonesia, Cambodia, Thailand, Laos, Myanmar, Malaysia, and Timor-Leste. Each of them are ready to share their thoughts or their national perspectives. Now let's start our discussion on the current situation in the region. Now let's start our discussion. Hello to our delegates. So question number 1, how does poverty and food insecurity appear in your country today? Or what challenges do your farmers face? Let's start with Indonesia.
In Indonesia, poverty in farming community is closely tied up to water insecurity. Only a small portion of our farmland has reliable irrigation system, so most farmers depend on rainfall. When seasonal become unpredictable, especially during El Nino, entire harvests are lost. Imagine preparing your fields for months only to watch your crops dry up and drown in sudden floods. On top of that, many farmers have limited access to modern tools, so productivity stays low. And when farmers bring their crops to the market, the price received is often not enough to cover their costs. This creates a cycle where farmers work hard yet remain poor. So for many rural families, food in the table is not guaranteed.
In our country, Cambodia, most farmers still rely on traditional farming tools. Many communities plant by hand, harvest by hand, and depend entirely on rainfall. Because of this, crop productivity is low and farmers earn very little. Another major challenge is that many rural families live far from markets. Even if they produce vegetables or rice, transporting them is expensive and difficult. By the time they reach the market, the profit is very small. So poverty becomes a long-term reality that is difficult to escape.
Thailand may be a major rice exporter, but our farmers experience a lot of uncertainty. Climate change has made farming unpredictable. Some years we face a severe droughts, other years a flash floods damage fields before a farmers can harvest. So since Thailand exports rice to many countries, when our production drops, rice price across Southeast Asia increase. So the challenges we face don't just affect Thai farmers, they affect the entire regions of food supply.
Okay, so in Lao has many remote farming communities that are far from main towns. So these farmers often struggle to access markets, farming tools, quality seeds, and even basic farming education. So because of this, productivity stays low, and so does income. So when farmers can sell their crops easily, they earn just enough to survive, not enough to invest their better tools. This rural isolation is one of the root causes of poverty in our country.
So in Myanmar, political instability deeply affects agriculture. Farmers rely on stable conditions to plant, harvest, and sell their crops. But when there is conflict, farming becomes risky, fields may be abandoned, roads blocked, and markets closed. Natural disaster worsen this instability. Myanmar experiences frequent floods and cyclones, and many farmers lose their crops overnight. Without strong support system, they have no safety net.
Thank you so much, Myanmar. Now, Malaysia.
In Malaysia, we observe rising costs of fertilizer, labor, and fuel. This increased cost of pushing small farmers to reduce production because they can no longer break even. The funny part is when farmers produce less, the entire country feel it because more expensive and low-income households suffer the most. Food insecurity here is linked not to lack of food but to rise cost of producing.
For Timor-Leste, many families depend on subsistence farming, meaning they grow just enough food for themselves. But because most farms use very basic tools and rely on rainfall, production is low. In years of drought, families don't have enough to eat, and there is very little surplus to sell. Food insecurity becomes a daily reality. That is why Timor-Leste is eager to work with ASEAN to develop our agricultural sector.
Absolutely. While challenges differ, common themes emerge like unstable income, like said climate risk, and limited technology that is right. Now let's explore to the solution that could help farmers break this cycle. Let's proceed. What policies or programs can help reduce rural poverty and support small-scale farmers?
Yes, we believe land reform is essential. Farmers must have secure access to land before they can invest in it. Expanding crop insurance is also crucial. No farmer should fall into extreme poverty just because of one bad harvest. And access to credit is life-changing. With affordable loans, farmers can buy quality seeds, irrigation pumps, and machinery that improve yield and income.
To support our farmers, Cambodia prioritized irrigation, farm-to-market roads, and cold storage facilities. When farmers can store produce safely, they reduce waste and increase income. So, rural infrastructure is the backbone of agricultural development.
We believe minimum price guarantees are essential. When farmers know there is a fair price waiting for them, they feel secure enough to continue planting. This reduces poverty and keep food supply stable.
So, in our country, education is a powerful solution. Many farmers want to improve their production but don't have access to training. So, with agricultural training centers, they can learn new methods, sustainable practices, and even modern techniques.
So for Myanmar, disaster preparedness is a key. Strengthening flood control system, improving drought monitoring, and having emergency food reserves can save lives and protect livelihoods.
Malaysia strongly support microloans and agricultural banks. Many farmers want to expand but cap- don't have that capital. Providing financial access empower them to scale their farming.
Timor-Leste is eager to learn from ASEAN technology, transfer, capacity building, and regional support will help us build a stronger agricultural sector. We believe in shared progress.
Thank you very much. I could agree to that. Now let's open a quick discussion like should ASEAN create a single regional food security to find support farmers, especially during those disasters or especially during disasters?
It helps small farmers afford input.
Implementation must be transparent, but it strengthens resilience.
It supports agricultural development for new members like us.
Okay, now let's proceed. What do you think? Oh, how can ASEAN work together for stable supply chains, fair trade, and strong emergency reserves?
Low fertilizer and farming input close treasury procurement. How about you?
Strengthen the ASEAN rice reserve for crisis.
Help smaller members build strong agricultural capacity.
Share climate and early warning system and best practices.
Now, for some follow-up, what role does sustainability do you think could play in the long-term food security? Again, what role does sustainability plays in a long-term food security?
Protect soil, water, and forest.
Organic and eco-friendly practices reduce environmental damage.
Sustainable farming ensures future generation can produce food.
Now, before we conclude, let's move on to our last and final question. I'd like each delegate to share a short reflection, anything could be, maybe a sentence on each of you on what lessons should ASEAN prioritize for long-term food security. It could be anything that do you think that could prioritize again for long-term food security in our member state or in your country. Let's start with Indonesia.
ASEAN must prioritize long-term food security by ensuring that every agriculture policy places farmers at the center, treating them not just producer but essential partners in regional development.
Thank you so much, Indonesia. How about Cambodia?
If ASEAN wants true progress, we must invest in stronger rural infrastructure because roads, irrigation, and storage facilities are the foundation of any productive and food-secure farming community.
Very well said, Cambodia. Thailand?
For ASEAN, to ensure its future food supply, climate change must be guide our strategies, policies, and actions, pushing us to adopt our methods and protect our farmers from unpredictable weather extremes.
Thank you so much, Thailand. I agree with that. Now with Lao, may I hear your thoughts about this, please?
ASEAN should prioritize agricultural education and farmer training programs because knowledge empowers rural families to shift from survival farming to sustainable and profitable agriculture.
Thank you very much. How about Myanmar?
In Myanmar, no food security effort can succeed without peace and stability, so ASEAN must strengthen cooperation and support system that allows farmers to work safely and consistently without disruption.
Thank you so much, Myanmar. Now, Malaysia, what do you think?
For ASEAN to strengthen food security, we must work together to make agricultural input like fertilizer, fuel, and equipment affordable and accessible for all small-scale farmers across the region.
Absolutely. Now, Timor-Leste, what are your thoughts about this? Especially you are the newest member of the ASEAN community.
As the new member of ASEAN, we believe that inclusivity, shared support, and equal access to regional food programs should be a priority because unity is the foundation of long-term food security.
Thank you very much. Today's discussion shows that poverty and agricultural food insecurity are shared challenges required shared solutions. Across Southeast Asia, farmers face common struggles: limited technology, unstable income, climate disruptions, and unequal access to markets. But ASEAN member states have a vital role in creating solutions, from modern farming technologies to financial inclusion, from sustainable practices to regional services or regional partnerships. A food-secure Southeast Asia is possible only when we work together. Together, let's uplift our farmers, strengthen rural communities, and build resilient, inclusive agricultural systems. To our distinguished delegates and our farmer representatives, thank you so much for your insights. This concludes our ASEAN Forum Podcast, Episode 1, Fields of Struggle, Poverty, and Agricultural Food Security in Southeast Asia. This is Bea. Thank you for listening and join us next time. This is the ASEAN Forum Podcast.